If you're a computational neuroscientist, chances are that you need data to work with your research. Any researcher, basically, that's our job. We need data. And as a computational scientist, you may or may not have your own lab, which means that you may or may not be able to gather your data. For that reason, computational neuroscientists usually either pair up with experimental neuroscientists or they try to find data elsewhere. And if you remember the interview I had with Dr. Albrecht, who came to my channel several weeks ago, he also adhered to the fact that data definitely is readily available more and more these days, mainly because we are now in an amazing period in time in that we are able to just work with data. We actually don't need to have our own labs, which is extremely expensive and time consuming. But if we can get data from solid sources, then we would be able to use computational neuroscience languages, let's say Python, and then run our own experiments with the data. And so that is the beauty of it. And there are some researchers who are making their data available. I personally myself have had 57 subjects in my lab that I run studies with, and I collected their EEG data. And this was actually during their information seeking, knowledge seeking process. And I'm actually recently I've been pondering upon whether I should at least try to see whether I could see other researchers do it as well. And I think that is a great addition to the body of knowledge. And so that is sort of on the side, but nonetheless, if you are interested in finding data, there is actually ways. And so I thought with this video, I'm going to show you at least one of those places where one of those papers who talk about that, who have tried to have their data available. And we look at their article about it, and then I will definitely, as always, put the link here down below, and you're more than welcome to look at it. But also, I highly encourage you, especially if you are new to this field, to kind of do your own search and try to find it. Even if you don't find the best data, I would suggest that if you're exploring, to at least gather the data and then explore with your, let's say, research design that you set up, and then write your own code and run some experiments with those raw data. In our case, let's say in this case, EEG data, because not always all data that you gather is perfect. There's always data missing. There's always the way in which the data is organized. It doesn't match, for example, with your code. So you need to always do some type of a polishing to the data that you gather. Nonetheless, just getting access to free data, it's amazing. It's unheard of, and it's something that it's becoming more and more common in our field, which is fantastic. I think then more people can actually join. So let me share my screen with you, and I'm going to show you this paper that I mean. These people, so this is called OSF Home, and once I put the link, you're more than welcome to look at it. But essentially, they call it THINGS-EEG, human EEG recordings from 50 subjects for 22,000 images from 1,800 plus object concepts. And this is dated, actually was last updated January 16 this year, 2022. And this is their DOI, but I'll read this description, what they talk about, and again, I'll put the link here so you guys can explore it, but I highly recommend that you explore different data that is being made available out there. Having said that, again, you do need to sort of not only blindly rely and trust the data, you have to also look at it, try to figure out, how the data was gathered and also what you need to do with it. And also you need to do some kind of polishing before you embark on, running it in your test. But nonetheless, once you do that and once you find good data, you can actually run your experiment. So here's what they write. The neural bases of object recognition and semantic knowledge have been the focus of a large body of research, but given the high dimensionality of object space, it is challenging to develop an overarching theory on how brain organizes object knowledge. To help understand how the brain allows us to recognize, categorize, and represent objects and object categories, there's growing interest in using large-scale image databases for neuroimaging experiments. Traditional image databases are based on manually selected object concepts and often single images per concept. In contrast, big data stimulus sets typically consist of images that can vary significantly in quality and may be biased in content. To address this issue, recent work developed THINGS, a large stimulus set of 1,800 plus object concepts and 26,000 plus associated images. Here's the link. In the current paper, we represent THINGS-EEG, a data set containing human EEG responses from 50 subjects to all concepts and 22,000 plus images in the THINGS stimulus set. The THINGS-EEG data set provides neuroimaging recording to a systematic collection of objects and concepts and can therefore support a wide array of research to understand visual object processing in the human brain. So in other words, if you're interested in, for example, let's say your research topic of interest is visual object processing. In that case, a data set such as such would be very useful to you because then you can literally use this data and run experiments with it. So they say this repository contains the code that we use to perform the analysis described in this paper. So they're sharing their codes, which is also a great way of learning, but also it's my understanding that they're sharing the data as well. And then they go on to kind of show you the different files they have, and you can also filter, etc. All right, so this is just one example. And again, you might find other things that are much, much better. This is just one I found and I wanted to share with you for the purpose of this video. But if you feel like you are able to find other data sets, definitely, I highly encourage you to do that. Nonetheless, I put the links here and you can look at it. Let me stop sharing. So basically, that's what I'm trying to say is that if you're really interested in conducting your own research, definitely there's ways to collect that data. And some of those data are great. For example, especially those of us who have written like dissertation, I think that dissertations usually, I trust them a little bit more because there's under so much scrutiny to defend their thesis and their dissertation. And so they really always make sure the advisors, the committee, everybody, that whatever they are delivering is solid. And so there is a lot of scrutiny behind that type of a data. So if you can find something like that, I highly encourage it. I personally need to explore that, whether I should make my data available. But to be very honest with you, I literally thought about it last night, and I haven't even looked into how/if it is possible. because it was a few years ago, so I need to sort of do my due diligence. But I can reassure you that, for example, in data sets such as mine, because it was under so much scrutiny, like the data took much longer to collect. And so I'm very, if I can somehow put it out there, I've been thinking about it since last night, that I'm thinking it's actually very solid data, because I really try to be very, very adamant and very strict about collecting my data in terms of data quality and data collection quality, etc. So, but we'll see. I'm not sure even how to do it, honestly. So it's just like exploration at this point. But there are others who have done it already in the industry. So this was just one example. But I highly encourage you to do that if you can find a raw data set. The bottom line is that you really don't need your lab. You don't need a lab. Essentially, you just need a laptop, and then you need to have Python, and all of that is for free. I mean, except for laptop, of course, and of course, internet connection. But all of that you can literally find, and then you can. Obviously, you need to learn. It's not easy. You have to learn. You have to learn how to code and do the modeling, and also learn about computational neuroscience. That's why I've been recommending the Neuroimaging Academy. I don't work there, by the way. I don't get paid. I took the course myself last year. And I'm also having one of their leads, Dr. Peters' interview that I'm publishing tomorrow. She'll be also talking about it. So if you're interested in, for example, learning how to code and things like that, I highly recommend Neuroimaging Academy. Having said that, you do need to have some background to take those classes, because their classes is very, very intense. So, but she'll explain more about it, and I'll post it tomorrow. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.